Most people know what they should do, they just don't do it consistently. Why? Because most habit advice online is surface level. It doesn't account for how your brain actually works or how to build habits that stick when you're tired, busy, and under pressure. In this video, I'll break down how to build high performance habits using neuroscience and proven behavioral change theory. Habits that optimize your health, energy, and performance without burning out or relying on willpower. Okay, so let's dive into it. We're going to be discussing how to hardwire powerful habits using neuroscience and behavior change. The trans-theoretical model, or TTM for short, is how real change happens. Before you build a habit, you need to understand where you are in the process. Now, looking at this study, the trans-theoretical model of health behavior change. The trans-theoretical model posits that health behavior change involves progress through 6 stages of change: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and termination. 10 processes of change have been identified for producing progress along with decisional balance, which includes self-efficacy and temptations. Basic research has generated a rule of thumb for at-risk populations. Now, I'll break this down a little bit, but those at-risk populations are 40% in pre-contemplation, 40% in contemplation, and 20% in preparation. Across 12 health behaviors, consistent patterns have been found between the pros and cons of change in the stages of change. Okay, so that's all we need from that study right now, but I'm going to break that down a little bit more. And we have to remember that you are a program and you're also the programmer, right? So based on these studies, or this study, people considered at risk, which is people who have poor health behaviors or are not actually looking after health, not promoting their health, and not optimizing health. So that's going to be some sort of issue later down the road, or they're not eating in such a way that is deleterious to health, right? Now, these researchers have observed a general pattern in where these individuals fall within the trans-theoretical model stages of change. So 40% are in the pre-contemplation stage. They are not even thinking about changing their behavior. They may be totally unaware of the problem or not see it as serious. And many people fall into this category, but you can see it all the time where a lot of people might work, have a busy life. They might be successful in their career, they might have a family, but they don't really see their health as something that needs changing. They're totally unaware of the problem that's actually building up, right? They feel like they may feel very successful in life because obviously they might have a good amount of money, and they might have a nice car, nice house, nice family, and they felt like they've made it or they're doing enough. But as it says here, they're not even thinking about it, and they're totally unaware of the problems that reside within their body and within their health. Now, 40% are also in the contemplation stage. They're considering a change, but haven't committed to action yet. And you get into conversations with these types of people all the time. They're like, talk about, oh, I want to do this or I plan to do that, in terms of like going to the gym, looking after themselves, running, jogging, whatever. But it's just talk. They're contemplating it, but they're just talking about it. There's no considered or committed action to develop what they're talking about. Right, they also may be aware of the issue but feel ambivalent. And then 20% are in the preparation stage. They're getting ready to take action soon and may already be taking small steps. And this is a really good place to be. Now, this tells us that the majority, 80%, of at-risk individuals are not yet ready for action, right? So moving on, looking at the trans-theoretical model and how it breaks down, it breaks behavioral change into 5 key stages. And as we've discussed, pre-contemplation, you don't think there's a problem. Contemplation, you're considering change but not committed. Preparation, you've decided to act and are making plans. Action, you've started the change. And 5, maintenance, you're making it stick. Yeah. And obviously this diagram breaks that down in terms of progressions and how you can relapse into other stages. Obviously, people can relapse through inconsistency or things that happen, or just pure laziness, or they just don't want to do the work. So you can prelapse through these stages. And obviously, this is ideally how you want to cognitively and your thought patterns, and maybe even like you need knowledge or you need more information, you need more awareness to actually progress through these preparations, these stages of pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, and action. Now, most people fail because they treat stage 2 problem with a stage 4 solution. For example, trying to implement a morning routine when you haven't addressed why you skipped it in the first place, right? My clients tend to get results because we try to match the right strategy to the right stage where that person is and use the system to progress them through. And that is obviously the system I've devised within my coaching style, and my framework helps to facilitate a lot of this. So diving into things a little bit more deeply, we need to understand that we need a reason. So even if you're trying to move through these stages, the first thing we need is a reason. Without emotional drive, habits collapse. Logic doesn't drive change, emotion does. Your brain prioritizes behavior that meets a deep personal need. So ask yourself, what's the cost of staying the same? Who else is affected if I don't optimize my health? What becomes possible if I have more energy and strength and confidence? The stronger the reason, the deeper the identity shift. We're not building habits just to tick a box. We're rewiring who we and you are, so you naturally act in alignment with your higher self. Then we need a trigger. Your brain needs predictable prompts. Habits are created through cue, behavior, reward loops. If you don't control the cue, your brain won't know when to fire the behavior. So some examples of effective triggers are time-based. At 7 a.m. I train. Location-based. When I step into my kitchen, I prepare my pre-workout meal. Emotional-based. When I feel stressed, I breathe for 2 minutes before reacting. Your nervous system loves predictability. And this is really important for developing consistency and routines. When you get into a good structured routine, your nervous system enjoys that. And that's when you can start to see progress, or you can start to see things develop where you're building reward loops and actually start to get more motivated because you're seeing improvements in your behavior, your change, your training, and the progress that you're making. So the more consistent your trigger, the more automatic the habit becomes. Then we need a micro habit. Build small wins into neural pathways. Big change starts with small wins. And often this is why some people might find it hard to move from contemplation to preparation and action, because they feel like the change is a big leap when they're trying to do too much, right? So as we said, big change starts with small wins. In neuroscience, this is called synaptic potentiation, where repeated action strengthens neural circuits. Instead of work out for an hour, start with put on your training gear at the same time each day. Put on your shoes to go for a walk. Get yourself moving. Instead of eat perfectly clean, start with add 30 grams of protein to your first meal of the day. You're not just doing the habit, you're proving to your brain you're the kind of person who does it. That identity reinforcement is more powerful than motivation. Now, looping into that identity reinforcement, we need to get out of the have, be, do mentality, right? We've been conditioned in society to fall into this category of I must have this before I can be that and do this. But you need to flip that. Be, do, have. Be the person you want to be in terms of the identity. Do what that person would do, and you will have those results. All right, and you'll have that feeling of I've accomplished this, I feel good, I feel healthier, I feel more energized. Now, looking at effective practice, repetition plus challenge equals change. Habits are strengthened not just by repetition, but by meaningful engagement. If it's too easy, your brain disengages. If it's too hard, your brain resists. To find flow state, there has to be just enough challenge to make it achievable and challenging, but not enough to make it too difficult and out of reach. And you find flow, that the reason why that is important, because flow state is a feeling of I'm enjoying this process, I am enjoying being in the process, and it's rewarding being in the process. So you actually gravitate back to doing that thing outside of the objective outcomes down the road. You enjoy being in the process. What we want is progressive intensity. This mirrors how we train your body: stimulate, recover, adapt. So an example of this would be week 1, 10-minute walk after lunch. Week 2, add nasal breathing for recovery and heart rate control. Week 3, add a weighted vest or swap for incline walking, for example, right? This approach wires your brain for growth and not just routine. Then we need a plan. Systemize your habits into your environment. High performers don't rely on willpower because it's up and down all the time. If I only trained and worked out and did things when I felt like it, nothing would get fucking done, man. Like I don't feel like training half the time. So high performers rely on systems. Design your environment so your habits are the default. Schedule your training like a business meeting. It's really important that if you want to get results from optimizing your health and your physical fitness, make sure that your training is in your diary and scheduled repetitively and is consistent. You do this thing at that set time on that set day. Prep your nutrition like you prep your workflow. Put reminders in your calendar and visual cues in your space. Use the implementation intention method. So when insert situation, I will insert behavior at insert time in insert place. That specificity can increase follow through by up to 91% according to research. Then we need alignment. Make it part of your bigger mission. Every habit you build should serve your larger system. In my coaching, we break this into 3 pillars. Metabolic optimization, fuel your brain and body for energy. Elite training systems, train with precision to build strength and resilience. Precision nutrition, eat in a way that supports performance without complexity. You're not just building habits, you're building a performance lifestyle. As it says here in this cool diagram, cool photo, fitness isn't about abs, it's about dominion over the flesh, dominion over your excuses, and dominion over the quit inside you. Everyone has that quit and that lazy person inside them. But developing your physical fitness is about overcoming all of these things and developing into a person that you want to be and getting that identity shift that you always want to achieve. If you are a busy professional or an entrepreneur who's ready to stop guessing and start executing the science of peak performance, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment with one habit you're working on, and if you want to fast track your transformation, check the link below to apply for coaching.